Good morning, my dear students. Today I am here to start a new chapter, the first chapter of your history book of 10th standard. That is the rise of nationalism in Europe. How the feeling of nationalism arose in Europe. My dear students, I have already discussed about this chapter in the previous class. But since many students requested they missed out the class, that's why to repeat it. So I'm going to start it once again. My dear students, we are supposed to go through some different sections under this chapter which are listed below. First and foremost, in this chapter we are supposed to learn about the French Revolution and the idea of nations. This chapter, the French Revolution, you must have studied in class ninth also, so you have an outline. So only once we'll find out the outcomes of the revolution, that's it. Second topic is the making of nationalism in Europe. How the nationalism arose in Europe. What were the reasons behind that? Who ignites the nationalism? Under this chapter, in third section, we will be dealing with the age of revolution, which particular year have been considered as the age of revolution. Next to it, we will be discussing about the making of Germany and Italy. That is also called the unification of Germany and Italy. Second means next point we will be dealing with the visualizing the nations, and the last one the nationalism and imperialism. You must have now an idea about the nationalism, and one more important term is imperialism. What do you mean by imperialism? Imperialism is a condition where one country forcefully try to get the control over other country. For example, India once was a colony of the British. The British almost colonized many of the countries. Okay, so this is called imperialism. So, first of all, my dear student, before starting the chapter, I just want to ask you one question. That is, what do you mean by nationalism? What do you understand by nationalism? Because in second chapter we have studied about nationalism in India, how the freedom fighters sacrificed their life in order to make our country a free one, the independent one. So we can define nationalism as a desire of a group of people to form an independent country where the people may govern themselves. Means most of the country are nowadays are free country. They are pursuing their own constitution, own way of governing themselves. Or on the other way, we can define nationalism as the ideology and the movements that promotes the interest of a particular nation. That is also called nationalism. Okay, so the feeling of nationalism in Europe was one of the leading ground for the development of nationalism in the region of Indochina. I told you, my dear student, that means one must be the torch bearer, or one must be the pioneer to whom the other person may follow. Until and unless you will be encouraged to do any task, you can't do. Okay, so this nationalism in Europe became the key factor, or we can say torch bearer, for all the other nations who were struggling by that time, such as India, China, and many other Asian countries. My dear students, now we are going to start how nationalism ignited in Europe. In the previous class also, or we can go through the first chapters, first page, you find out a figure Okay, one figure who drew the figure, who drew that picture, Frederick Sorio. Yes, in 1848, Frederick Sorio, a French artist, prepared a series of four prints visualizing his dream of world made up of democratic and social republic. Okay, that was his dream. That was, by that time it was not implemented. That means it was, though it was under the monarchical form of the government, but that he was having a dream. Okay, that means our nation would become like such a manner. Okay, so who drew that picture in 1848, which ignited the nationalism in the minds of the people? He was none other than Frederick Sorio. The first print of the series shows the peoples of Europe and America, men and women of all ages and social classes, marching in a long train and offering homage to the Statue of Liberty as they pass by it. My dear students, kindly go through, minutely observe the picture or the diagram of Frederick Sorio. You will get an outline, that means long queue of the men and women are marching towards their ambition or their destination. Okay, and along with that you can see Statue of Liberty, and along with that many god and goddesses, they are giving their blessings to them, blessings to the people. Okay, yes. So, can you tell me where is the famous Statue of Liberty situated? Yes, my dear students, it is in New York. The Statue of Liberty personified liberty as female figure holding the torch of enlightenment on her one hand and the chatter of rights of men and women on the other hand. If you see the Statue of Liberty, both hands are equipped with something. Okay, in one of the hand the lady, the Statue of Liberty, is holding the torch of enlightenment. Torch of enlightenment means like special knowledge or special education which enlightens your mind, which enlightens your soul. Okay, that is called enlightenment on her one hand, and on the other hand she was holding one chatter of rights of the human being. That means what are the rights, what are the duties of the French people, okay, to pursue, what that they are going to pursue. So this figure completely changed the mindset of the people. People start thinking about, yes, we can be a free nation. Why should we govern by someone else? Okay, why shouldn't we become a part of the society, part of the government? Okay, so this picture played a very vital role in shaping the minds of the people towards nationalism. In Soros's utopian vision, the people of the world are grouped as distinct nations, identified through their flags and national costumes. Okay, nowadays each and every countries around the globe, the free countries, they are having their own national song, on flag, on culture. Okay, and we all the nations are free to preserve their culture, to respect their nation, to respect their flag, and so on. Okay, but my dear students, go through here in the point I have written in Sorio's utopian vision. So can you tell me what is the meaning of utopian vision? Anybody? Yes, a vision of a society that is so ideal that is unlikely to actually exist. Okay, see, sometimes happens we think about an ideal society where the people are free, where the I means you must have read about the famous poem of Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear and head is held high, isn't it? So what happens? we are supposed to dream of a society where each and every person gets the equal right, equal opportunity, equal distribution of the wealth also, which is impracticable nowadays. Why it is said to be impracticable? Because see, there is uneven distribution of wealth within the nation. I'm not talking about only our country India, I'm speaking about globally. Okay, you find out. So this utopian society is only a vision. If it happens, if we came into the steps of utopian society, then the people will be totally satisfied. Okay, so my dear student, in this chapter, the chapter deals with many of the issues visualized by Frederick Sorio. The first clear expression of nationalism came with the French Revolution in 1789. France, as we know, was a full-fledged territorial state in 1789 under the rule of absolute monarch. Means which type of government they were witnessing? They were witnessing monarchical form of the government. Okay, but soon after 1789 French Revolution, the power changes, and that was the end of monarchical form of the government. Okay, and the people and the citizen got a sigh of relief until and unless Napoleon took charge as a dictator. My dear student, the political and constitutional changes that came in the wake of the French Revolution led to the transfer of sovereignty from monarchy to a body of French citizens. My dear student, now can you imagine, suppose we are now under the grab of the kings and the queens and they are ruling us. So it's very complicated, it's very difficult. Why? Because kings and queen, their post is genetical based, means in the sense hereditary way they are adorning the chair of the head. But now it is in a democratic country, we ourselves are governing, means we are governing ourselves by our voting rights. The revolution proclaimed that it was the people who would be henceforth constitutes the nation and shape its destiny. Okay, that were the ideals of French Revolution. Now, we are going to deal with the outcomes of revolution in a nutshell. The first and foremost, that monarchical form of the government changes into the body of a French revolution. It goes under the body of French citizens, or we can say half democratical, not fully democratical. It should be defined as half democratical. Second one, to emphasize unity and commonness among the people. See, unity and commonness are the key factor in order to provide equality within the society. A people, see, my dear student, why you come to the school in a school coat, school dress, even teachers are requested to go in the school costume, so that no one can show their economical status. That means, see, I am superior than you, you are inferior to me. No, that's why it's the commonness among the people. So democracy always provide unity and commonness among the people. Third one, introduce the new tricolor flag in France. You must have seen the flag of France. State generals were elected and renamed as National Assembly. National Assembly we can consider in short way that it's a kind of assembly or the parliament where there were the participation of the elected members. Centralized administrative systems and rules and regulations same for all. Centralized administrative system means not like the federalism. What happens in the federalism? I taught you in civics chapter. In federalism, there was a cooperation, or we can say coordination of both the state as well as center. But here, by that time, it was the centralized system of the government. Internal custom duties were vanished. Many custom duties were there, many taxes were there, which were completely vanished by that time. Taxes in the sense, I'm saying, you take the example, a few years ago, we were having so many kinds of taxes like direct taxes, indirect taxes, cess, and then VAT, service tax, many taxes were there. But nowadays in our country we are having two form of the one direct tax, another is also direct come indirect tax. Direct tax is in income tax, and indirect come direct is value GST, goods and services tax. Okay, so same thing happened in France also. After once the war gets over, that means revolution gets over, they all the internal custom duties imposed by the kings and the queen were vanished. Uniform system of weight and measures. I taught you in the last chapter also, last class also, that uniformity in the weight and measures is very important. Okay, because you compare now this system of the uniform standard measures, and in the history way back you go to the barter system, you will find yourself that this system is much better than the barter system. Barter system in Hindi it is called vastu vinimay pranali, means if you give one thing to someone else, then other thing you will be getting. And French become the official language. Like in India, Hindi is the official language in which we speak. If you go through the Constitution of India, okay, then in the Constitution of India there are mentioned 22 official languages. Each and every states are also having their official language. Since I belong to Jharkhand, so I know Hindi and Urdu is our official language. Okay, in Nagaland English is the official language, but in common what happens, French become the official language for all the people staying within the territory of France. And set up the Jacobean club. If I ask you what do you mean by Jacobean club, Jacobean clubs were the club where the people of the same mentality, same thinking, they join and think for the betterment of society. Okay, like in Britain also we are having India House, but if you go to India House, then the condition is quite different. They were totally following the Western culture. Okay, and they're smoking there, they're drinking there, and they themselves are defaming our culture in India House. Where is in India House? It is in London, Britain. Okay, yes. Now I told you, so far I told you about the French Revolution, the end of monarchical form of the government, but at the same time the command of country went in the hand of one dictator. Okay, that is Napoleon Bonaparte, Napoleon. And Napoleon introduced special rules and regulations which are classified as the Civil Code of 1804. Okay, what is called the Civil Code of 1804. Under this, soon after the end of monarchy in France, the power was shifted to a dictator, non-Napoleon. That was the beginning of dictatorship in France. Napoleon, being a cruel ruler, made no stone unturned to oppress the citizens by introducing a number of rules and regulations, also known as Napoleonic Code. This code did away with all the privileges based on birth, established equality, means by birth whatever rights you have been given, that have been vanished. Okay, and they have been given equality before the law and secured the right to property. See, in our India, I am saying you, right to property was also a fundamental right, but nowadays right to property is not the fundamental right, it's legal right. Okay, but there in under the Civil Code of 1804, right to property was a legal right. In Dutch Republic, in Switzerland, in Italy and in Germany, Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system. Feudal system means collaboration of both the state as well as center, means he applied centralized system of governments. In towns too, guild restrictions were removed. Guild restriction means some guilds, merchants, they were having some restrictions in order to produce the good, in order to transport or import or export the good. Some restrictions were there, but all the restrictions were vanished. My dear student, as I studied in history, if you compare the Hitler and Napoleon, then you may find the people are more satisfied with the action of Napoleon rather the action of the Hitler, because Hitler was more cruel than Napoleon. Next point, the transport and communication system were improved. By that time, the transportation system, communication system were greatly improved. So these were some good steps taken by Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay, Napoleon. But Napoleon took many of the wrong decisions also, for which he was criticized by the historians as well as the citizens of France. What were some of the things? Some of the decisions were increased tax. Okay, see, tax. Whenever nowadays also, whenever the finance minister presents the budget, okay, then the people first of all eagerly wait for knowing about the ceiling limit of the tax. Means what should be the ceiling limit? Okay, means suppose your income is up to which amount, so that you are not supposed to pay the tax, and if you are crossing that limit you are supposed to pay the tax. So suddenly Napoleon increased the tax. Censorships were introduced. What do you mean by censorship? Censorship means like nowadays cricket matches are being organized, and you see Indian jersey, you see sometimes it used to be supported by Wills, then Pepsi, then nowadays Oppo also, and Sahara also once. So these are censorship. Okay, having the right of some particular item or something. Okay, that was introduced, and people were forced to join French army. They were the, yes, people were totally forced. You know, one country, Israel. I went through, or I read about something about Israel. In Israel, even in the school level, the military trainings are given to the students. Okay, why? So that in case anytime if the country needs your presence, then you will be willing to serve your nation. My dear student, you know, I think 9th standard also I discussed with you, so some of the students are new, that's why I'm discussing. Now Indian government is going to introduce one bill. As per the bill, if suppose somebody wants to join the government job, Indian government job, then he must be very much willing to serve the nation, Indian army, for 5 years. Anytime Indian army may ask your support to join. Okay, that was also one of the greatest steps going to be taken by the Indian government, because we all should be very much willing to serve our nation, our motherland. Okay, my dear student, so till now, till today, we will be dealing with this head. Next head we will be discussing in next class. Thank you, my dear students.